Hello, my beautiful cuddlebugs. Welcome to Ramblings of a Book Dragon, where we dive into the warmth of good books and unravel stories that feel like a literary hug. I'm Allie, your host, and I'm thrilled to embark on another cozy adventure with you. So grab a cup of your favorite beverage, snuggle into your cozy reading nook, and let's begin. But before we do, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe so that you won't miss a single episode. I really value your feedback and recommendations. Now let's begin. So I finally finished Pursuit of Jade, and we had left off with episode 30, and I kind of had wished I had actually just done 30 to 40 because I knew that I was going to, I knew that I had a feeling, I should say, that things were going to be explained because there had to be a reason. There had to be a reason because the way that it just all fell into, because where we left off was me complaining about the fact that Fan Cheng-yu had just fallen into being elevated to a higher up role. She had just been made into basically a general. We find out who her father is, and well, they say general, but they don't really mean a general. They are just calling her general because of who she had killed. And she had killed in case you forget, she had killed a prince and she had killed a general. So as a reward for all of her valiant efforts, she had been elevated to a captain. And by episode 31, and with episode 30 and stuff, we're trying to see, and it was just funny to me that, well, not funny, haha, but I found it interesting that the soldiers, they were all like, yes, let's follow her. Like there was no any sort of questions of her credentials. Like it's purely because of the fact that she killed these two men. There's nothing about her leadership capabilities. She's just elevated to a captain, and she had only seen 3 battles. But and then it's we learn who her father is, and we learn that her father was basically there was a very bad situation about a battle of Jinzhou from 17 years ago, and her father was connected and was basically a coward, and was not a good situation. So then in the next episode, it's the memorial day for Zhang's father, and this also kind of just made me so mad because I get why, because she is reeling from realizing who her father is, and she's hearing these other generals talking about her father, and so she's reeling, and like she wants to defend her father. She wants to defend him, but also, this is the memorial for her husband's father. This is, like, I get it, but this is not the time. This is not the time. Like, and this just goes back to what I was saying before about the fact that, and this is, like, I was just kind of also realizing, like, she never really faces consequences for her actions. There's threats of consequences. Like this, I think, is one of the closest times because her father was a traitor. He betrayed, like that's what they say. And she's like, no, he's not a traitor, because she found this letter and she was realizing, oh, he's not a traitor. And she didn't know any of this about her father before, but she's learning these things she just learned this information that her father was this great traitor. Like she thought that he was just a pig butcher before, and now she's learning all this other stuff, and so it's a lot for her to process. And then she's also having to process the fact that she had to witness the men under her being killed. She had to witness battle. There's all this stuff that she's having to process. And I kind of wish that we had spent more time in conversation about all this, because we spend just a tiny bit talking about this and her kind of processing it a little bit. But then we just kind of move on, which is just like, okay. But then they have a whole issue, but then Changyu and Jung she's keeping a distance because we had our great grand reveal of who he really was, and the fact that he is actually a lord, and so she's kind of still keeping a distance from him. But she was promoted to the 5th rank cavalry as a commandant, and because of this was in the 31st episode. And so because she was promoted to this, she is now being taught more leadership skills. Just like, okay, finally, we're actually having some logical shit happening. And then we also learned that this promotion was all orchestrated between the Lee and the Wei factions because they're trying to gain control of the corp. They're trying to gain control of things. And it's also just funny because no one knows that she's married to Zhang. They just think she's married to someone, and is like, okay, this is part of it's like this is what's frustrating, is they're acting like she's this great person, and it's just the fact that she killed these 2 men. She was at the right place at the right time. And no one knows who her father is. No one knows who she's married to. So, but then it also just made me mad because her friends were calling her a general. Like, she's not a general. She's a commander. She's a commandant, whatever. And so she's learning all this stuff. And it's like, okay. But I do appreciate that there is a method, but like there was a reason for this. The Lee commander was doing this in order to kind of get into the skin of the Wei actions, and he was doing this basically to kind of use her, and also he likes her, but he was mainly doing this to kind of help kind of secure some more connections and that kind of thing. It's like, okay, this makes more sense. So it's like, okay, I wish I had waited until the 31st episode so I could say, okay, we finally made some more sense. But then we get into some more drama between the 2 princes, and we just have a lot of issues with the puppet emperor wanting to marry his sister off to the marquis. And that also makes Fan Changyu mad because, like, we're married, and the sister, she knows that they're married, so she's mad because she also wants to marry. She has someone that she wants to marry too, and so it's just a lot of drama. But then we learn that Zhang knows that Changyu's he knows, and this is something that I kind of wish we had a little bit more of throughout the show. Is we're told that he knows this. He says this to her. I wish that there's sometimes where we're kind of shown in like flashbacks of what's going on, of what leads to things. I wish that we had a little bit more of that, like at a moment like this, because he just knows. And like, I think like he was kind of digging into her past a little bit before, so he was kind of learning about all this, but then he knows that he wants to help her uncover the truth behind the tragedy of what happened before. So, but I wish that there was a little, like, it's just the way that they communicate. Like, sometimes it's sweet and sometimes it's like, I wish we had a little bit more communication, just a little bit more. But then we have like the next couple of episodes, we have more bloodshed. We have stuff between the princes where there's some more stuff that is just like, really? How does this happen? Like, especially when not Lee, the younger brother, he's killed by the older brother, and we learn the truth about what was happening with Ki Min. And he's like, he kills his own brother. So we really start to see more of just how far he's willing to go. Like, he's even willing to kill his own son. Like, the sweet baby boy has gone through so much. But Yang King, the younger brother, he had taken a former bandit leader as a wife. Like, he was using her basically. But then there was a moment where he basically beheads himself. And it's like, I don't understand I know that there's stuff that's going on in this show where we're supposed to have a suspension of disbelief, and I know he's dying, but the act of doing that to I don't understand. But like he did that so that she would be protected, and so that because there's a whole situation with this tiger tally, and that was what happened 17 years ago, where they were like, hey, this tally is fake, which is what the whole tragedy was 17 years ago. They were saying this tally is fake. We're not going to support, we're not going to send grain, we're not going to send help, we're not going to do these things. And that is what caused the tragedy. That's what caused Zhang's father to die. That's what caused the traitor situation. So, but Yangqing had one of the tiger tallies, so he was able to give that to her to help. This is the one last thing that I can do for you. But what made me really happy is Gong Semin, our sweetheart. He's just such a cute little nerdy scholar. He finally had confessed to the princess that he was in love with her and he wanted to marry her. I'm mad at the show because, and this is a spoiler for the very last episode, but I need to talk about it now since I'm thinking about it with this point is, and there's some other drama that happens later on, but like he proposes and there's a situation later on where she almost dies in a fire and he's able to save her life. So we're at that last point, and that's the last thing that we see of them. So it's like, okay, so he decides he's going to talk to his family because they're not supposed to meddle in royal affairs. Like he's supposed to stay far away, but he's like, I'm going to talk to my family. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I want to marry you. And she's like, yes, I want to marry you too. I want all the libraries. I want all of it. But we never see them actually get married. We never see him actually talk to her mother. And so it's like, do they actually have a happy ever after? I don't know if that's something that's in the book. I don't know, but it's we don't know. I'm sure it's something that was actually talked about in the actual book. I hope anyway. And then we get into the 34th episode. So this is we're getting close to the end. And our Chengyu is promoted to flower crowned as the flower crown general and ranked 4th grade. But the emperor decides to do this as a way to kind of help help even out the playing field between the different factions, and to have someone new in, because he doesn't know that who she's married to. So she, of course, enters wearing flowers and stuff. And and because of all this other stuff that's happening, Jimin, the prince that we have some, and this is the other thing, is we're almost at the end of the show. And so I know we're going to have a final little bit of, and this is something I'm going to get to at the end, but they decide, okay, Jimin is going to take the throne. And so he's making these plans of how he's going to take the throne. And so this is in the final 2 episodes. This is in the 39th episode. So I have a little bit to go, but it's we need to be wrapping things up. So some of the story threads of the last 6 episodes feel a little rushed, especially since we took such a long time. And this is the thing too, in the 35th episode, not the 35th episode, sorry. The 36th, so there's, in one of these episodes, Zhang tells his uncle, I am married to Fan Hengyu, and he takes a lashing of 100 lashes. So I'm kind of just doing a brief overview of the last 6 episodes too. But he gets he gets 120 lashes, something like that, 120 lashes. It's over 100 lashes, 106 lashes. I think that's what it was, 106 lashes. And at the beginning of the show, it took so long for him to heal from almost being killed in battle. Tell me why this man basically heals, in like 2 episodes, he barely has any issues when you would think 100 plus lashes would get down to the bone, like, especially since his uncle was definitely not holding back. And it's like, okay, why are we, what, like, this was in episode 36 where he was caned per 180 times. I don't think it was 180 times. I think it was like 108 times. I'm also reading some notes about this, but per G family law. And it's like, shouldn't, but the fact that this was in episode 36 and we're almost done with the show, and in like the next episode they are like, he gets dry, like he's basically recovered. Like, he still is a little bit uncomfortable, but like this is a caning, whipped caning, whatever. This is a caning. This is something that should be taking a while to recover from. This is not something that is an easy peasy thing. But in the 37th episode, there's a party and they want to search the cold palace, and it catches on fire, of course, because they're trying to cover up what really happened 17 years ago. But the princess is still inside, so Gong Sun risks his life to save her, and he performed CPR. But this is what I'm saying, like, this is one, like, 36th episode, 37th episode are basically one of the last few times, like, we don't really see them, like, we don't see a conversation happening. And it's like, oh, there's some things that I wish we didn't have happen in the last few episodes. It's like, okay. But it's just so much fun. It's just so much fun. But what I do appreciate is that in the 38th episode, in spite of the fact that nothing is making sense anymore in this goddamn show, if you ever saw any of the music videos, like the bathtub scene, Zhang accidentally took in some aphrodisiacs. And he starts kissing, and they finally are taking hold, and he starts kissing Chongyu, and they get into the bathtub, and it's just such a good scene. I was trying to just so much fun. Just YouTube Pursuit of Jade bathtub scene. Like, it's just, she tells him to say his name, and they make just cinematography of this show is just fabu. Like, there is no intimacy, but the intimacy of this show is just the way that they do this, like with the bathtub and him looming over her and them kissing. It's like, oh, so good. It's like and it's the 38th episode. Like, I was wondering, when are we getting this scene? Because I found it by accident. And I was like, okay. Because before we had the gua shu, that the thingy, but where he was saving her life, that thing. And we had that before, and like, that was very intimate. Very sweet, and I was glad to have that. And now we have the bathtub scene. It's like, finally we got it. That just made me so happy. It's like, this has helped ease some of my frustrations with this show, because I was wondering, when are we getting this? And it's like, okay, I mean, there are still things that are frustrating, but at least now we finally have the bathtub scene. But because she finally was able to get the tiger tally, like, this is why I was like, some of this just got so, it felt rushed, because she decides that it's time to open her father's case to prove that he was not a traitor, which makes sense. But it's like, okay. Because, of course, she's the so-called traitor's daughter. They had to throw bad vegetables. And and this is the thing that also just kind of made me mad and also made me laugh, because Qi Ming decides that this is now the time to have a coup, y'all. We're gonna have a coup because he decides to take over the castle, storm the palace, and take control of the gates. And this coup is in 2 episodes. And it's over in the 39th episode. And the other thing that just kind of, when I was watching this in the 39th episode, I just started laughing at the absurdity of it, because Zhang and his uncle, they are like, okay, we need to take care of this coup first, and then we're going to finish our argument, because they're just not happy with each other, and they're like, okay, we need to fight. Tell me why in the middle of this coup, when arrows are being loosed, you can see the bad guy up there all angry and like just with his people, and you can clearly see that there's the enemies. You can clearly see what's going on. Tell me why these two decide to turn to each other and fight. Like, focus on the enemy, and then you can turn on each other and kill each other. Like, this was just so stupid. And like, because then like the soldiers were just standing to the side to watch these two idiots fight each other. And like, I get that it just felt so rushed and so stupid, because I get that they were needing to fight. I get that we were needing to have our big fight. But it's like, okay, why did we also like, and I know we needed to have our final iteration with the evil prince, with him. I know we needed to have this moment, but it just felt so forced, especially since it was in the 38th. It was at the very end of the 38th episode. We know the show is only going for 40 episodes because that's the way it is. It's 40 episodes. Every once in a while, it's more. But it's like, okay, why are we doing this now? Why couldn't we have done this a couple episodes ago? Why couldn't we, like, if we're going to have a coup part 2, as they say, well, it's actually technically a part 1, but we're going to have a coup. Why couldn't this have happened before? Like, it just seemed so silly. Like, it was mainly just the fact that uncle and nephew are just going at it. It's like, okay, why aren't the archers taking them out? The logic has gone out the fucking window. And but at least we're on the 39th episode, and we got everything taken care of. And unfortunately, the puppet emperor, our poor emperor, did go a little, he suffered a little bit of a nervous breakdown. So then in the final episode, the grandson is crowned emperor next, and his mother is the regent. And so we are finally in our happily ever afters. But then and I really like the fact that we finally came back to Lainan. And I almost started bawling, because as Fan Tongyu is entering the gates, everyone who had died was there to greet her and wave at her and say, "You're back, you're back." And the thing that, and honestly, I know that we needed to make her into a general, even though I don't know why. I wish that it was more about rebuilding Lainan. Like, she just came back and everything was back to normal, because that was her whole thing before, was about rebuilding, was because it was destroyed. And so I understand that I understand that we needed to have her find her husband, and that's fantastic that she learned the truth. She found her husband. She became, like, she did all these great things. But it's the way that this all came together, and of course, it's all going to be rebuilt. But she had just felt so strongly before about rebuilding. And it's just so frustrating that, like, just the way that this story went. I'm sure it made a lot more sense than the book. I'm sure that the author made it flow a lot better, because things got really quick at the end. But then I have conflicted feelings about the end of the show too, because we had after they came back and they reunited with loved ones and everything, and we had a cute little moment where Changning is going to eventually be named future empress, which is just so cute. But then we had a flash forward of 5 years, and Fang Chanyu and Zhang are both back on the battlefield, and he's like, you're a mother of two now. I should send you back. And she's like, no, I'm going to fight beside you. And it's like, I understand the girl bossness of it all. I do, and I think that's great. But if she's a mother of two, I'm conflicted, because I know you don't want to lose your identity. Like that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing, is not losing your identity as a mother. You want to be able to continue to live your life, but also they're going into war. Both of them are going into war. And I like that he's a supportive king. I appreciate that he stood beside her and he's like, come back safe. And she's like, come back safe. I think that is fantastic. But it just, I don't know how I don't know how to I don't know how to feel about that. It just seemed a little, not weird, but it's like, I would have thought, like, her whole thing before was keeping little Ning safe. And if she's a mother now, wouldn't you have wanted to stay with your babies? Like, someone needs to stay there with the babies to keep them safe. And I know that she has the others, and I love that she called them mom and dad and stuff. And I love that, but you don't have to be. And the fact that she was like, oh, I didn't become a general standing to the side. You became a general in spite of yourself. Like, if they had spent more time building up her repertoire of skills and had her showing her leadership skills, her showing her ability to fight, like, she fell upwards. She fell upwards up the ladder. And I know I know I've been bitching about this entire time, ever since this war stuff happened. And I'm not ragging on her. I mean, I've been ragging on her, but I've just been ragging on the situation and on the writers, mainly on the writers, because it's like, I'm hoping that the book is eventually released in English, because I'm really curious to see how the original author, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, I'm curious how the original author did this, because this makes no fucking sense to me. This whole thing, it's just because I'm sure that, like, if they had just had it where she did a little bit more leadership, a little bit more other things, like a little bit more training outside of this, a little bit more other things, because it's just what her merits that they were talking about, that they decided made her a leader. That's anyway. But what I really liked at the end of the show is they did a cut scene at the end. I mean, not a cut scene. They did an end credit scene, whatever it's called, and they did a what if scenario, that the tragedy 17 years ago didn't happen. So they grew up safe, secure, wealthy, kind, still good. And it's like, this is so cute, because but it was also a little disturbing. I know that this was also the times, but his mom was like, if this is the girl I want you to marry her and bring her in as a daughter-in-law. It's like, this little girl this was a baby that was just born. Maybe we don't need to talk about that just yet. But I was like, okay, whatever. Okay. But I found it interesting that they're like, oh, but it's also as a what if, was like, oh, I feel like I've been here before, when they were in Linan. And it's just, I found it very interesting that was the way that they were doing this. But Yeah, I think overall, in spite of the many things that I complained about, which were many, it wasn't that many technically. It was just about one thing in particular that they did. But other than that, I really, really enjoyed this show, and I'm really impressed that I made it to all 40 episodes. Now I just need to know what to watch next. So if there's any shows that you want me to watch and review, please let me know. And if you liked this format, breaking it up randomly, please let me know that as well. Or if there's a different format that you would you rather I waited until the very end to discuss it? But yeah, I know I was kind of all over the place with this episode, but I will talk to you, cuddlebugs, next time. Take care. Goodbye.